Well, good morning, everybody, and welcome to our ongoing series of webinars. I'm Joe Rodola. I'll be your trainer today, talking about preparing to borrow money for your business. It's one of the most, it can be daunting. So hopefully we're going to help demystify how this thing works. We are recording today's webinar. It will be placed on our YouTube channel. You will get copies of the slide deck. So if you want to take notes, please do, but you'll get the slides anyway. And you'll also be able to, again, refer back to the video once we post it. It'll take a couple of days for it to get to our YouTube channel. Okay, so we're actually coming to you from Shasta-Cascade Small Business Development Center. We are a nonprofit organization, provide confidential, no-cost advisory training and one-on-one services. The one-on-one services, I think, are the kind of the where the rubber meets the road. How's that? Okay. So after this, if you want to individually talk about financing for your particular business, that's when you contact us for an appointment. Okay. We are currently in a transition period on appointments, just to let you know. Most of our appointments are still being done by Zoom and call because of the increase in Delta variant cases. But we hope to open in person again soon. We are funded by our tax dollars. How about that? So you don't have to pay me anything today. It's already being taken care of by the SBA and the state of California through GoBiz. So we're funded by them through Humboldt State. Here's our legal stuff, okay? This is our disclaimer. The information provided in this webinar and any supplementary materials provided to the registrants are intended for educational and informational purposes only, does not constitute professional, financial, or legal advice. In other words, we are not attorneys, we are not CPAs. No registrant should act or fail to act on the basis of material contained in this webinar without obtaining proper financial, legal, or other professional advice specific to their situation. So hopefully you do have an attorney and or CPA at your fingertips. Northern California Small Business Development Center and its host, the HSU sponsored foundation, specifically disclaims any liability, loss or risk, personal or otherwise, which is incurred as a consequence, directly or indirectly, of the use and application of any information presented in this webinar. Yeah, tell the attorneys did that one, huh? One of the cool things about SBDC offices are there are many, many different types of consultants available to you. We up here at Shasta-Cascade in Northern California, we cover Shasta, Trinity County. Here's our crew. So we have a lot of people that do everything from, I'm the money guy, if you can probably guess, credit guy, finance guy. And we have people that do marketing, everything from social media to regular old-fashioned TV, radio type advertising suggestions. We have a wonderful QuickBooks specialist. We have QuickBooks classes, Rebecca, you name it, we just about got it. And we have access to 40 other additional subject matter experts based in Northern California, mostly San Francisco and Sacramento, for things like restaurants, how to put together a Kickstarter campaign, HR, you name it, we probably have somebody that can talk to you about it. Again, no charge. All right, so there's me, my bald little head. So I'm Joe Rodola, lead advisor here at Shasta-Cascade. 48 years in the credit industry. I was a banker for 25. I ran a little nonprofit called CCCS up here, Credit Consulting Group. Had my own small business now for 11 years, my 11th year in business, and I've been doing business advising directly through nonprofits for the last 9 years. Okay, so what are we going to cover today? We're going to talk about just about all the basics of preparing to borrow funds for your business. Okay, this again is going to be an overview class. It's only an hour. So you want to get into the nitty gritty? That's the hope. Then we're going to get you in to have a one-on-one advisory meeting. If you are watching from outside the geographic areas of Shasta and Trinity County, which many times, you guys watch and you're from outside the area, we have SBDC offices with people like me all over the country. Every city, every county is covered by an SBDC office. So we always suggest, although you may like the way I, approach things, we always suggest you still check with your local SBDC. Why? Because there's more things available in other areas than perhaps we have up here. We're way up north of the North State. We're a good 2.5 hours north of Sacramento, depending on the traffic. So we're way up north. If you're in Sacramento, LA, San Francisco, New York, Chicago, you're going to have a lot more available things, startup money, perhaps different types of loan programs than we probably have here. Okay. So we're going to talk about obtaining a credit report, documents, prepare those documents, connect with an advisor, which is us, of course, and go over briefly the application process. So let's start from the beginning. One of the things that takes the longest to fix or repair is credit. So I like to always start with credit first, because if your score is a 525, 575, 625, and you have issues on your credit report, it doesn't matter what kind of loan or business you have, that's going to be a stumbling block. And even if you're getting a loan for your business, almost every banker I know all over the country is going to want your personal credit to be solid, because you're the business. And so and the majority of these loans require personal guarantees a lot of times. So that means your personal ducks have to be lined up in a row too, even if you're a corporation. So checking and making sure your credit is in good shape is imperative. Credit scores, again, you can check them in many ways. Credit card companies offer you free credit score checks. Credit Karma, we list that one. CreditKarma.com offers free credit score checks. Credit Karma is not exactly the FICO score that they use in the by bankers and lenders, but it gives you a real good ballpark idea or average, and it'll show you up and down trends. That's the main reason you want to check your score, is for hopefully rising trends and not dropping trends. That's the key issue. Okay. So how is the score derived? These are the main points that actually affect the FICO score. Okay. 30% of it's based on what you owe. 10% is how new or old your credit is. 15% is how long you've had your credit in the past. 10% is type of credit in use. Specifically, if you have records of getting money from check cashing facilities, that kind of thing, that's a red flag, for instance. And then 35%, of course, is making your payments on time. So as you can see, 65% of the credit score, a full 65%, is based on how much you owe and how you've made your payments. The rest of it kind of brings up the tail end. It also indicates that the younger a person is, it can be more difficult to have an 850 credit score, which is the max, than it would be for someone who's had credit for 20, 30 years. Okay. Especially if that 20 and 30-year person that had credit that long has kept their payments up the entire time. There is a caveat to that. So here's the scores, basically the scoring model. I kind of changed it to kind of a golf analogy here. I like to play golf, so kind of put that in there. So if your score is 300 to 629, you're in the subpar range or bogey area, needs some work, okay? By the way, we can do for you as a small business owner or entrepreneur, somebody that's going to be starting a business even, we can do credit report reviews for you here for free and then give you a written step-by-step process to increase that score, okay? So we can do that for you right here. 630 to 689 is kind of the par range, okay? You might be able to borrow the money, but you may pay a little more for it. May have a higher fee, a higher interest rate, okay? 690 to 719, that's above par, okay? That's where bankers get excited. We're happy with what you are doing. You're making your payments on time. You got a long credit history. All those things are in a positive fashion. And then of course, 720 to 850 is your birdie range, which basically means you're going to get the best rate and the best fees because you are the least amount of risk to borrow money in the 720 to 850 range. I've seen literally hundreds, if not thousands of credit reports in my life. I have never seen a 300 and I've never seen an 850. I've never hit 850. Even knowing how it works, it's hard to hit, okay? You have to basically owe nothing, have a 30-year credit history, and always make your payments on time, you know, and have 5 or 6 open lines or, you know, loans. And that's hard to do too. So I've seen some 825s and 830s. It's always kind of like, wow, I get pretty excited when I see those. How do you check your credit? What's on it? There's annualcreditreport.com. You can pull the listing of the items on the report. These items are actually what make the score, by the way. So your Visa, MasterCard, American Express, Discover, your Macy's, your Kohl's card, whatever, that all comes and makes up that score. This list can be used, of course, to start corrective action. That's obviously what we do. And of course, it takes about 30 days to change the score. So that's why you want to jump on this as soon as possible when you're thinking of financing or refinancing your business. So again, you got free scores, you got score factors, bad and good scores. And again, annualcreditreport.com on this last page, that is a free site to pull your credit history or credit reports, all 3 of them, once per calendar year. Okay, do we have any questions at this point? It's kind of early. Okay, let's move on. One of the things you want to prepare and get ready for immediately is your financial statements. So we're going to cover your financial statements and what the banks are going to want to see, okay? So let's start with your profit and loss or revenue statement. So as a small business, every year you have a P&L. Banks are going to want the last 3 years of your profit and loss. So I always like to tell people to get those scanned and into your computer as quickly as possible. Because let's face it, this day and age, and with COVID, majority of things are being done online. They just are, you know. I mean, sure, you can print out copies and hopefully you can take it in and give it to somebody, but they're going to 95% plus of banks and financial institutions are going to want electronic downloads. And if you're involved or want to be involved with any of the disaster loan funding, whether it's from COVID or now the fires, you're going to have to download this information to them as well, the SBA or otherwise. So go ahead and get your 3 years P&L revenue statements downloaded and 3 years balance sheets. Okay. Also, you'll be preparing what's called a personal financial statement. So let's take a look at those documents, okay? So here is kind of a sample of an income statement. It's very simple. How much you made at the top, what it costs to buy your items, it's called cost of goods. Operating expenses, that's all the other stuff, rent, lights, that kind of thing. And then the bottom line, of course, is net income. You always want to show a profit. I've had a lot of people ask me, should I show a profit or not? Well, yeah, if you can show a profit, show the profit. Don't write everything off. Because the only way you can borrow money as a business is to prove that you have something left in the tank. All right. So it's always better to have a positive income, net income at the bottom line than to have a zero. Balance sheet is exactly what it says. It balances. So you have the assets on the left, the liabilities on the right, and hopefully you have a stockholders' equity or value left on the bottom right side of the equation. So it's basically the value of what you own minus the debt you owe equals. And that should always be a positive. You don't want to owe more than the items are worth. If you do, it's going to be tough to borrow money. And here's a copy of a personal financial statement. It's kind of like a balance sheet in a way, but this is for you personally. So this is where you put your bank account balances, your house, okay, how much the house is worth, okay, any car loans you have on your personal automobile, okay, that's on the left-hand side. No, it's on the right-hand side. The left-hand side is going to have money in the bank and what the value is of all those things. So what the value of your property is, the value of your car, okay, any savings accounts you might have, savings bonds, gold bars, that all goes on the left-hand side. That's your asset side. And then your personal liability side is the loans and debt you have. And then there'll be a net worth. A lot of times we'll hear a person talking about net worth. You hear about it on TV all the time. So the net worth is what you own minus what you owe personally. Hopefully you got a positive number. Again, that's the goal. Okay, the goal. Because again, you're going to probably have to personally guarantee these loans anyway. So they'll want to have a personal financial statement for sure. Tax returns. Okay, so those were financial statements, right? All those were numbers, financial statement numbers. Well, now I guess what you get to do now, what fun. You're going to need completed tax returns, okay? And be prepared to give those tax return copies to your banker. So again, we've seen this happen quite often with the disaster loan programs. So you might as well just go ahead and get her done now. Get a hard drive if you want to not leave it on your desktop, right? Get a separate hard drive, download all your financial statements in there for the last 3 years, right? Like we just discussed. And then download 3 years worth of tax returns, both for the business and you personally, and download those and store them in this hard drive. And then you can mark it. Couple cool things there. If you have a hard drive that you take with you, and this is really a good idea for kind of another situation, and that is insurance purposes. You should have a hard drive, at least 500 or one, whatever it is, 1 TB, right? A large enough hard drive to put everything important on, including these 3 years financial statements, 3 years tax returns, both business and personal. And an up-to-date financial statement wouldn't hurt us either. Have it all stored on there. Okay, have it all stored on there. And take it with you when you go on vacation, when you go away for the weekend, take it with you. Okay, because you know, if you have a desktop at home, big computer, you're not going to take that with you. So if you don't use the cloud, right, to store all this stuff, that hard drive is awful nice to have. And then again, you'll be prepped. Anytime somebody wants that information for a loan, you'll have it on that hard drive. So 3 years federal and state tax returns for the business, 2 to 3 years federal and state personal tax returns, load it to the desktop. And I'm going to go ahead and change this for the next one to also put a hard drive. Because again, when my wife was doing real estate for a company she worked for, she had 220 rental document informations in her computer. So guess what? She downloaded it every night, took it home. See, because that way you'd have that information if the place burned down tomorrow. So just a good thing to do. And even though the business is applying for the loan, again, most loans require a personal guarantee. So just bringing it up, okay? All right, do we have any questions at this moment? No new questions. Cool. All right, so talking about financing and loan types, this is one of the things I bring up in the How to Start a Business class as well. And by the way, those classes will all be viewable by you at our YouTube channel when we're done. No matter what, when you go to get financing from a bank, there is no 100% financing available, okay? So don't count on grants at this point. Don't count on any kind of 100% financing. It just is very rare and very difficult to come by. So I don't even bring it up, okay? So self-funding is obviously the best and the easiest. So if you can self-fund your own savings, selling stuff you got laying around, you don't need anymore, or there's a program allowing you to actually use your 401k, by the way, to kind of pull funds out of your retirement fund to start that business. It's called ROBS. You can look that up under the IRS website, irs.gov, and look at ROBS. Again, we suggest you use a CPA accounting person to help you with that. I've had several businesses started utilizing this ROBS program. And one client that actually bought a restaurant, and they were moving up from the Bay Area. And he wanted to buy this restaurant that was for sale up here. And it included the building, the land, all the stuff in it, the kitchen, and it was all ready to go. It was a turnkey operation for a small restaurant. He decided, yep, I'm tired of this rat race. I'm going to use the 401k, bought the thing. He bought it with his 401k. So it can be done, okay? So self-funding obviously is the easiest, and don't discount family and friends, people. You might have people out there, family, brother, aunt and uncle, Uncle Bob, Aunt Millie, you know, that thinks that you're doing a great job, or you want to open up this new business, they believe in you. Heck of a lot easier. Just make sure you write it up correctly, okay? Make an agreement with the person that's a family member, because you don't want Thanksgiving to be ugly. So make it official, okay? If you do that. You may need a financial partner. You may have somebody that's going to be the money person involved, whether it's silent partner or an actual partner, okay? That's going to fund the project. Cool. Make a partnership agreement up. They don't have to mess with the bank, all right? I worked for a large bank for 25 years, okay? A large financial institution. Very tough, very tough. all the large banks have a tough time, especially with startups. Startups is very difficult. I'll be real, okay? So conventional bank loans with them, for startup, almost impossible. If you're an existing business, I always suggest you start with your bank first. Inquire on what they have available. Inquire on if they're interested in lending, right? During the time period you want to do it. We're just coming out of COVID here, right? And I don't know how far we're coming. It doesn't seem like days, some days it's less than others, but suffice it to say, as we're coming out of COVID, the banks and financial institutions have all tightened up their belts. It is technically about as tight as it was right after the real estate bubble in 2009, 2010. So about 10, 11 years ago. And the reason this time is the pandemic. You know, people have lost their businesses. They've had massive decreases in income flows. They've been busy with paycheck protection, PPP loans for existing businesses, and all the funding coming out of Washington so far has been put towards saving existing businesses. So again, startup is tough. That's why it's always best to have the more you and your family and maybe a partner, the better, the better. People often ask me, they go, well, wait a minute then, when can I go into the bank for money? 2 years of profitability. 2 years of profitability. So you have to report to the IRS in your taxes or your 1040 form or your Schedule C or, you know, whatever and all you use, show a profit for 2 years in the business. Then you become what we call lendable. I like to use that term, lendable. You're lendable. So have a 720, 715 credit score, 2 years profitability on your business. You need a new piece of equipment. Go in and say hi. There you go. Okay. Start with your bank first. Whoever you have your business checking account with, they got history with you. Always start there first. Conventional bank loans normally require 20% down. We'll cover that in a minute. They are done normally in-house by the bank. So in other words, you owe the bank the money, okay? Most banks, as far as I'm concerned, it's every one of them up here, does SBA loans in some fashion or another. That's Small Business Administration, either backed loans on the 7A program, or if you're buying a building in the 504 program, you'll actually owe the SBA on that one. So it's kind of a neat program that they have available. Takes some of the pressure off of the banks. We'll cover that shortly. Angel investment groups, how about that? There are actually Shark Tanks throughout the country, not just on TV, that may be interested in investing in your business. This again is normally for startups or businesses that are kind of just coming out of their, you know, their phase and maybe want to start selling or making a product in bulk. So the Angel Investment Group, we have one right here in Shasta County called Shasta Angels. They normally are interested in investing in businesses that can scale up. So if you're going to, you know, figure out the next best thing to slice bread, right? They're interested in talking about that kind of upward trend sales type of business. Retail, restaurant, yeah, a tough nut for an angel investor. Micro lender. There are micro lenders throughout the country. We have one right here in Shasta County, Superior California Economic Development, affectionately known here as SCED. These micro lenders have received funding from various entities, including SBA at one time. And they lend the money out, collect it back, lend it again, collect it back. So it's a revolving deal. It's kind of neat. The gentleman who runs it here, Bob Nash, is a great guy. Another old banker like I am. And you make a business plan up and you make some forecasts for 3 years, 3 years, prove that, you hopefully you can make those payments. And the micro lenders will lend between $5,000 and $50,000, which covers a lot of small businesses in our area, I'll tell you. 5,000 to 50 grand to get you rolling. And they don't have to do things like monthly payments, X amount, 5 years. They can be imaginative and creative. That's what's cool. That's what's cool. They may say half payments for the first 3 months or no payments the first 3 months till you start selling the product. Then the next 3 months you go half payment. They can, again, be very creative. Okay. Crowdfunding and online lenders. Crowdfunding is being done. Kickstarter, GoFundMe, those kind of things. There are a lot of others where if you have a large social following, social media network, you can go out and ask for those people to help you get off the ground, especially if you have a product that may interest those people. So if you're going to make something, like I had a gentleman that, actually 2 guys, partnership, and they were making what they touted as an untippable kayak. It was basically a kayak with wings that could go out to stabilize the kayak. Okay, sort of like a cruise ship. You ever been on a cruise ship? They have little plane wings that could come out onto the water to stabilize the ship from rocking terribly. Okay, well, that was where the idea came from. These guys had a patent pending idea to put these flotation devices that could be deployed on the side of the kayak. Okay, so they wanted to raise 75 grand, 100 grand. And so they said, all right, you got $25, you get your hat with the logo and the shirt, whatever. And then it goes up from there until you could actually, give them $2,000, $2,500, and you could get one of the first kayaks off the assembly line. See? So if you have a product, crowdfunding can really work. The one that I always liked was there was one that crowdfunded for manufacturing of a new type of ice chest. Okay, new type of ice chest. This ice chest had a blender in the top, lithium batteries, radio, Bluetooth speakers, bottle opener. It had everything but the kitchen sink. Plus it had this blender on the top. So you can take this thing out to your campsite and make margaritas. That's kind of cool. Anyway, they were wanting to raise like, I don't know, $200,000. They raised like 10 million. It was nuts. But they did it like that. They said, all right, $150, $200, you get one of these ice chests. And then, if you do this much, you get 5 ice chests. It mushroomed. Let me tell you, mushroomed. So crowdfunding, and then there are online lenders. One that I can attest to that I actually have used before is Lending Club. Lending Club is an organization that has personal and business loans, okay, unsecured. And these are smaller dollar amounts. I'm talking normally $10,000 or less. But in this particular case, Lending Club will do it at 13, 14, 15, 16%, rather than a credit card that might do it at 20, 22, 25%. See where I'm going with that? So there are some online lenders besides credit card companies. We say be careful, do your homework, check them out, check their their Yelp reviews and all their reviews. But there are some out there that are actually assisting, especially in the smaller dollar amounts. Believe it or not, banks and financial institutions don't like to do loans really under $25,000. It's a lot of work for a little return. I mean, it's just a financial thing. It makes sense to me. Okay. It's very difficult. So those smaller loans can be done by crowdfunding online lenders. and credit cards very quickly. A lot of times very quickly. Okay, and no collateral required. Whereas a lot of the other loans are going to need collateral of some kind, whether it's equipment, a house, a building, you know, whatever it might be. So let's start with the SBA 7A loan program. We got regular 7A loans and express. Express loans are 25 grand or less. We have a couple of express lenders here in Shasta County. If you check the SBA's website, they'll tell you who it is. SBA Express is, again, a little more difficult because of the T-cross I-dot thing, but it's available. And the regular 7A program is for all sorts of business purchases. They'll do equipment with a 7A. They'll do cash flow. They'll do repairs, maintenance, all sorts of things with the 7A program. And then the 504, SBA 504 programs for purchasing buildings, doing renovations to the buildings when you purchase it, and large pieces of equipment you need attached to it. That's the 504. So let's talk about 7A first. This loan is for many business uses. It is a loan guarantee. It's not a loan. SBA is not giving you the money. What basically happens is on the 7A program, SBA will guarantee for the bank currently up to 85% of the loan amount, technically if something happens to you and you can't make the payments. So it's a bank guarantee program that makes it easier for the bank to lend you the money because their risk is tiny, right? And here's the reasons you can use it for. Equipment purchases, inventory, wages, working capital, okay? Maybe lower down payments, the most conventional loans on the requirement. So that's a positive. The rates are good right now. Definitely great. And the terms are good. They'll go all the way up to 10 years to pay back on a 7A loan. Okay. 7A, again, easier to qualify for than some other loans are. Access to capital markets without high cost because of the interest rates are coming out of the federal government. Increase owners' return on income on property purchases. Normally that converts to the 504 at that point, but 7A can be used for that. Lower down payment requirements, of course, and below market fixed rates and easier credit requirements than some local banks require on their credit score. Now let's talk about the 504. Loan is for the purchase and build out of owner-occupied business properties, okay? And it says right on there that the building must be 51% owner-occupied. So technically that means 49% you can lease out, get some income back. So it's kind of an interesting little program, okay? Could include large pieces of equipment that would be necessary. Like if you're going to build out a manufacturing plant, you need a big floozy doozy, you know, and that's going to help you make your product, and it's got to be bolted to the ground to operate. That'll work, okay? Lower down payments, the most conventional loans, we'll cover that in a second. Long-term financing that you're going to see here in a minute, it's fantastic. And of course, the rates are crazy low right now. We're talking on part of this loan below 3% still. Don't know for how long that's going to last, but that's where it is right now, okay? And here is how the structure of the 504 works, okay? So if 100% is the project building cost, including build out and the equipment that's attached, etc. In many, many, many cases, you only have to have 10% down. So it is the lowest down payment program for buying an office or business building that I know of in the United States. It's a cool deal, 10% down. 40%, SCID in this particular case, Superior California Economic Development, will help you prepare the 40% loan to SBA. So 40% of this project is an SBA loan. In our area, SCID will do it with you. Okay, Superior California Economic Development. Ryan is the gentleman's name. Great guy. Hits the ball a mile. A good golf guy. And then 50% is the bank loan. So as you can see, it's a team effort. It's you, the bank, and this, it's called a CDC, okay? Ryan, in this case, that works for SCID, prepares the 40% loan. So what happens to the 40% loan? That's a fixed rate, 20 to 25 years, never changes. That's cool. And currently the interest rate on that is like 2.83 or 2.7. It's below 3. Me being as old as I am, I can tell you that's nuts. It's absolutely crazy. Okay. It's great. It's great. You know, I was a banker during the Jimmy Carter era when interest rates were 18. So when somebody says 2.5, 3, I go, yeah, not a bad deal. And there's no call on that loan. It's a 20, 30-year loan, a 20, 25-year loan, period. Don't have to pay it back till the 20, 25 years is up. You make monthly payments, of course, in the meantime. The 50% loan will be what they call amortized to make the payment smaller over 20, 25 years. But you'll have to renew it every 5 normally. And what 5 years renewal is for interest rate purposes. Okay. Because let's face it, right now the interest rates are super low. 5 years from now, who knows? You know, who knows? So they don't like at the bank end to take on a lot of risk at 3-4%. So they have a call. They call it a call. They'll call the loan and renew. So they'll, and all these loans require you to submit your financial statements annually. Okay. So they can keep up on your financial condition of your business. But it's a great program, especially the 40% in the middle being long-term fixed. Hard to beat. So there you go. Owner's best friend. Protection against rising rates on that 40% especially. Access to capital markets, again, increase ROI, lower down payments, below market, and no balloon. No balloon payment on that 40% SBA loan is phenomenal. And technically, there's no balloon on the bank loan of that one because what they really want you to do at that point is renew that 50% of the project, that 50% loan to whatever the new rate is. It's just that probably, and I'm not a gambling man, but if I was, I bet you the rates are going to go up sometime along the way. Get back in the 5, 6, 7 range. That would mean your payment will go up. See? So that's what that's about on the 50% piece. Again, lender's risk is mitigated. CDC manages the application process, reduce hassle paperwork. Normally they'll work together, the bank and Superior California Economic Development, to do the package together. Because I can tell you right now, I did SBA loans before computers were in place. Thank goodness we don't got to do that anymore. The packages were 3-4 inches thick. And we used to have to package those up and mail them to SBA. Isn't that great? That's back in the 70s, okay? But anyway, so now they have to download it anyway, but there's still a lot of stack of papers, a huge stack of papers. So it's great that they help out. Shows the lenders really care about the clients. That's the cool part about it. They'll hand carry this with you on the 504. And of course, keep the process centralized so that you don't have to run around all over town to sign stuff. That's cool too. Okay. Conventional loans, again, loans through the bank. The bank is going to actually carry what we call carry the paper. Carry the paper. So that means they're going to have that loan in-house. Normally it's 20% down, 80% loan. I mean, that's the basics. So there's your 20% having to be your money, right? See? And again, just because we have two wonderful local banks here and a couple others that are kind of in between, normally easier to apply through a local bank than it is with a big corporate financial institution, simply because of the red tape. Depends on how much red tape. Again, if you're in business and have been in business, go to your bank first. And we got some others you can use, okay? And again, still very difficult to gain access for startups. Sorry. Loan application I didn't put on here, but you're going to have to. And this bottom little link here, the SBA, is a link to the SBA 7A's loan application checklist. And it gives you a nice list of all the things we just talked about of what you might need for a 7A loan. Okay. You're going to have to supply, obviously, personal information, including federal tax IDs and social security numbers. Just got to be ready to do it. Business information, same thing. If you have federal tax IDs, you'll have to definitely put those on the application as well. Prepare and include all the documents we talked about: financial statements, tax returns, personal financial statements. You may have to fill out a document called a 4506T. And by the way, if you get into a situation where you're going to be doing an application in Shasta, Trinity County, and you get the thing and you're going, huh? Don't worry. Sign up for one-on-one consulting. Come in, we'll do it together. We'll do it together. I've done loans too many times. And I can help walk you through the actual application process. Plus, we've been doing a lot of work on the disaster loan side, helping people fill out applications for the last 18 months anyway, especially SBA loan documents. Okay. Include all documents. SBA loans, there is their checklist and their actual application right on SBA.gov's website. Cool website, by the way. SBA.gov's got a lot of information on there. Huge amount of information. Huge. Okay, how are we doing on the question side? Oh, we got one here. Do payment plans with the IRS impact funding? Very good question, Nicole. So here's the answer. If you're in a payment agreement to pay back taxes with the IRS, fantastic, okay? That means that the IRS isn't coming after you. You're in an agreement making monthly payments. You would show that as an expense, okay, a debt on your liability side of your balance sheet, or on your personal statement if it was personal, and you list it as an expense, right? And you're going to make a monthly payment. So all that would do is they would include that monthly payment in whatever it is you're applying for. So they just say, oh, you got to make that payment, your rent's $1,200, your lights is $400. Oh, you got an IRS debt of $200. And now the new payment on the loan is going to be $300. You see where I'm going? And then they'll compare it to your, it's kind of a business debt to income ratio. Okay. It's a business debt to income ratio. And normally what they like is a 1.25 to 1.5, which means you're making 1.5 more than your monthly payments are. Okay, 1.5 more than your monthly payments are. That's how they do it. That's how they do it. So an IRS plan, no problem. If there's an IRS levy or debt, before you can apply, you're going to have to make a payment plan. So there you go. So you've already done the work. See, that's cool. So you've already done the work. But if you owe the IRS and they're coming after you, definitely call them. They'll make a plan. They'll set up a plan for you. No doubt about it. No doubt about it. Okay. I've done it. When I couldn't afford to pay my total business expense for the year, I contact them and tell them, hey, I ain't going to make the, I'll owe you $5 grand. let's make a payment plan. And then you talk it out with the IRS. You have to call at 7 a.m. in the morning and start calling at 6:55 Pacific. I learned that lesson too. Call at 6:55 Pacific and you just keep dialing, dial, redial. So you get in as soon as 7 o'clock hits Pacific time, and hope you don't get, your number 500 on the list. Kind of funny, but payment plans do work. All right, look at that. We're just about there and we're just about out of time. So we talked about understanding credit and credit scores, documents needed, how to prepare those documents, connect with an advisor. Let's talk about that. And of course, the application. So connect with an advisor. That's hopefully the next step. Sign up for one-on-one advising. And of course, check our calendar for other types of work. We got tons of workshops. Well, I'll tell you that. Us and the Head Center out of Sacramento have huge number of nice webinars. And our Facebook, our YouTube channel's got a bunch. So as promised, the final slide. Here's how to get a hold of us. Emily is our wonderful admin. She's the one who signs you up, asks you a bunch of questions to get you linked into our free services. 530-222-8323 is our phone number. Shasta-SBDC.org is our website. You can go on there and apply for service. I think it's still a red button. Correct me if I'm wrong, guys. I think it's a red button.
It's a red button, yes.
Hey, red button's still there. Cool. Hit the red button, apply for service, fill out the stuff. Boom, you're in. Okay. We got a Facebook page. A lot of stuff gets posted on there. Please sign up there. We have a Twitter. We are on LinkedIn. And there is our YouTube channel. We'll have to update that. I think we got a new address, but that'll still work. YouTube has got, man, we must have 50. I bet we have more than 50 now.
We have over 100.
Over 100, wow.
Yep.
Webinars and what we call NorCal Minutes, little short 1 to 2 minute information pieces that you can watch. You can see my bald head, you can see David, you can see all the other people we have that have done these, see Emily. And it's all free. It's all free. You can watch all our classes, have a beer. What a deal. So if there's any final questions, let's see what do we have here. Thank you. Oh, there's our survey. Yeah, let's do that. David put into the chat something we would like you all to please do. And that is to go in and hit that surveymonkey.com and tell us how good, tell us how we were, how we did. I like you to say how good I was, sure. But suffice it to say, this helps us to fix things, maneuver stuff in the presentation, add things, subtract things, and come up with new things. So please fill out the Survey Monkey. I appreciate it. Takes only a couple of minutes. And thank you all for thanking me, and thank you for being with us. David, do you have any final thoughts?
No, I think you covered it. Thank you, Joe, and thank you everybody for joining us. And I think at this point we'll stop the recording and let everybody have a early lunch.
Very good. We all take care, and hopefully we'll be seeing you shortly, especially if you're in the Shasta-Cascade area. We'd love to talk to you individually. Have a great afternoon. Take care.